In this video, I'm going to show you how to use your Geneseo or personal Google Calendar to book appointments with other people without needing to do the whole email back and forth. I will also briefly show you how to use your Mac Mail to do that. I can't help you with Android because I'm not an Android user. So the first step is you need to be in your Google Calendar. You can get to your Google Calendar by using your menu up here in the right and choosing Calendar. Obviously, it looks like this. There's also a Google Calendar app that you can use on your phone, but once you know the steps here, it's pretty much the same thing. So again, you never use your email. You just do the whole thing through Calendar. There are two ways to book the appointment. If you think you'll be booking several meetings with me, or it's the beginning of the semester and you want to book appointments with different faculty member, or maybe you're in a student group and you want to book appointments with people in the student group, I like to just add the calendar. So I'm currently in my personal calendar, so I'm a student. So let's say I'm a student and I know that I've enrolled in Lee Pierce's public speaking class and I'd like to be able to make appointments with Lee without needing the email back and forth. So I'm gonna go over to this box where it says other calendars, and I'm gonna type in pierceal@geneseo.edu because that's the professor. All right, and now I see that Pierce L is showing up in green. If I unclick the green box, Lee Pierce goes away. If I click the green box, there's Lee Pierce again. So obviously this is me in blue. So you can see that I'm blue over here. And then here's Lee in green. So now I can see all of the times when Lee is busy and I am busy, and then find times around it. So this week obviously looks pretty crazy for both of us, but there's a little slot in between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. that's available. Now, here's the thing. If I take away Lee's calendar and I just look at my calendar, this doesn't include any of my classes. So if I'm in class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I don't use my Google Calendar, this isn't quite gonna work. So either you need to add your classes in and any other appointments you have, weekly counseling or doctor's visits or work, or you need to have a pretty good memory. So for me, I'm pretty crappy with memory, so I might go ahead and just add my public speaking class, which meets 10 to 11 on Monday, Wednesday, and it repeats every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, done. Okay, so now that's on my calendar. So now I know that when I add Lee's calendar back to mine, I can't book, even if Lee were free here, I can't book then because I'm busy. So you gotta make sure that your calendar is up to date, or you're at least keeping track of the events that you have so that you don't screw up. But now I can see where Lee and I have free time. So I notice that Lee and I are free between 11 and 12. So I can single click the time I want, in which case I need to then click the edit event button to get to this screen, or you can double click around the time that you want and it will just take you there. So see what I did there? I double clicked, and here I am. Or I can single click, go to edit event, and then change the time or add people. So that's one way to do it that's pretty easy, because then if you look through the weeks, let's go to a less busy week for me, you can see the pockets of time when you and your instructor have time available together. The other way to do it is just to look at your calendar and say, okay, I have a pretty busy day, but I'm free Monday, November 6th, so I'm just gonna click on that day and I'm gonna see about booking an event. And now I need to book it with Lee, so I'm gonna go ahead and add Lee over here under guests. And now what's cool is, so here's me, right? So this will say your name, and here's Lee, and I can choose suggested times, and the calendar will tell me every date moving forward that Lee is available. So for example, if I need a meeting right this second, so I'm gonna go to today, right? And today is October 24th, and today is 3:00 p.m. I'm gonna go ahead and click this, and I'm gonna go and add Lee over here, and suggested times. And now, starting today at 3:00, I can see every time that Lee and I are both mutually available between now and when I need the appointment. So I need something real soon, but I don't want to book within 24 hours. So the soonest that I can book is Wednesday at 3:30. So here's one for Wednesday at 5 p.m. Sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Wednesday at 5 p.m. because that's the soonest that I can book, with not within 24 hours. And then I'm all set. So now I know that we can both make the time. Here it is, all scheduled. Now it's just a matter of filling in the blanks, right? So what's the name of the event? So for me, I always put the people involved. So Lee and, I don't know, Nancy. And we're going to discuss paper. Discuss interpersonal paper, let's say. This way, when it's on my calendar, Lee's calendar, I know who the person is I'm meeting with, as opposed to if you write meeting with Lee on your calendar, it's going to show up on my calendar as meeting with Lee, and I don't know what that means. As far as location goes, I'll assume we're meeting in my office, which is Blake B 117. But if you want to meet somewhere else within reason, like if you want to meet at Starbucks in McVitie, or if you want to meet up at Sweet Arts Bakery, assuming that this is, a half-hour meeting or something, you can feel free to put that there because, again, I can always change the calendar appointments if there's an issue. And then I always put something in the description like need to discuss edits for upcoming interpersonal comm paper. And, of course, now I need to go back and change my... and would like to meet for coffee. Okay. And then the other thing you need to kind of make sure is that you've confirmed the time. Now, think about the time. You don't really need maybe an hour appointment unless you have a bunch of things to discuss. So generally, I tell students that if this is just a quick check-in, 20 minutes. If it's a meeting, 30 to 40 minutes. And anything longer than that, you probably want to talk to me first because you don't need to book a whole hour. So generally speaking, I think a half an hour is a good spot. So I would go ahead and I would book 5 to 5:30 p.m., make sure the time is right, blah, 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 blah. You've added the guests, everything's all set, and then you're going to go ahead. And of course, if you have a paper, like for example, if you want to talk about a paper, you can add the attachment now or you can add the attachment later. And you can add it in Google Drive or as an attachment. So that's a pretty sweet feature. And now once you're all set and everything's labeled and you know where we're meeting and you've written the description and yada, yada, yada. The other thing that's kind of nice is to put a cell phone. So I will usually put my cell phone down here in description. That way, if one of us is running late or we can't find each other, it's easy to text. So typically a cell phone is a pretty good move. And then I'm going to go ahead and click save. And what this is going to ask is, do I want to send the invitation to guests? And this is important. If you don't get this message, you have not invited anybody. You have to invite somebody because they have to accept it. So you're going to click send. And now you'll see that our meeting is here on your calendar. But if you look at Lee's calendar, for example, it's also there. But Lee has to accept the invitation. So let me show you what's going to happen. If I go into my mail, so here I am, Lee Pierce, right? I see that Nancy has sent me a request to chat about the interpersonal communication paper. So I can go in here, I can see, oh, okay, this is what we're doing, this is where they want to meet, this is the notes, and here's the cell phone, blah, 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 blah. And I'm either going to say yes or I'm going to say no. Most often I say yes. So here's my yes. And now it's going to show up on my calendar. Yes, I'm going. I can add a note. I can change my response, etc., etc. Now, let's suppose that you invited me to do something at 5 o'clock to 5:30 on Wednesday, October 25th, and I got the invitation, but I realized that my calendar wasn't quite up to date, or I have another appointment, or, oh, I don't think that's enough time. I'm just going to go ahead and change it. So I'm going to go back to my own calendar. So here's my calendar, and I now have a meeting scheduled with Nancy to discuss a paper, and I need to move the calendar around. So I just kind of grab the event that I need to move, and I move it around. So this is important because your calendar needs to be up to date. So if you schedule an appointment for Lee and Nancy on Wednesday, October 25th, you'd better make sure that the rest of your day is scheduled, because I might look at the 25th, here we are, Lee and Nancy, and think, oh, well, let's see, I have yoga from 4 to 5. I'm never going to be able to get to another place at 5, so I'm just going to go ahead and scooch this down to 5. Oh, it won't let me go to 5:30, so I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to change it to 5:15 because I don't think that I'm going to actually have enough time to do that. And then I'm going to click save. You're about to make changes. Okay, yes, I want to make changes. All right. And so now the calendar's moved. Now, if you had an event at 5:30 that you were planning on going to, this is going to get really messy. So you got to make sure that your calendar's up to date so that if I need to move something around, it's easy enough for me to just scoot it around a little bit without having to email you back and forth, which defeats the whole purpose. All right, so now you understand how to add an event to the calendar, how to make sure that you confirm times between you and the other person, and also how to move the event around or how to edit the event and send invitations just to make sure that the other person has all the information that they need. With that said, let's look at a couple of other things. So first of all, including your cell phone in the description is useful in case you get delayed or you can't find me. Second, for me, I like appointments that are between 9:30 a.m., okay, and about 6 p.m. at night on Monday through Thursday. So 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. at night are open for meetings, Monday through Thursday. So you can book any time in that window. On Fridays, I meet between 9:30 and 2 p.m. because I usually have a faculty meeting. So Fridays are 9:30 to 2 p.m. So you can meet anytime there. So feel free to schedule meetings anytime in those windows. If you need to meet on an evening, Monday through Thursday, or you need to meet on a weekend, then just email me as usual and we'll kind of set up an appointment based on what our calendars are. But you don't want to put those on my calendar because I'll probably have to wind up deleting or moving them. Also, it's pretty standard not to book within 24 hours because, for example, right now it's Tuesday at 3:34. And so I might leave for the day at 4, let's say, head home, not check my email, come back in the morning, teach all day, and then head out for lunch at 2, not knowing that you put something on my calendar for Wednesday morning. So try to keep it within a 24-hour window. Try to keep it outside of a 24-hour window. So right now, it's 3:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. So anytime between here and, pretty much all the way up until 3:30 tomorrow is off limits because it's within 24 hours. So you want to book your appointment outside of the 24-hour range. Likewise, you don't probably want to put repeating invitations to events, so you don't want to book like a meeting with me every week for the next 9 weeks without first confirming, is it okay if we make this a routine meeting? Those are kinds of conversations that we should still have either in person or by email. But if you just need one meeting or something to chat about, this is a lot faster. Just put it on my calendar and don't stress me about emailing back and forth and choosing times. Just pick something that works. Make sure that your own calendar is up to date so that I can scooch meetings around if I need to. And then I will accept or deny the request based on my calendar. But if you've done everything that I've shown you, I should be able to just accept the request and we should be able to sit down to have the meeting.